The United Nations can only work on the basis of the assumption that the elections will take place on the 10th of October. And I think it's important that the elections do take place because it's important for Iraq to move beyond the elections to get things done. You're asking a lot of questions and I think we could talk for hours, but what I would like to say or highlight as the major challenge right now is the lack of public trust in public institutions, in public processes and authorities. So in response, I can only say there is a new electoral system. IHEC is working diligently towards election day. New measures have been implemented, lessons learned from 2018 have been taken into account. So these elections have the potential to be different and it's important to get things moving. Look, if I would have had the silver bullet, I would have used it a while ago. I mean, obviously the assassinations, the abduction, the aggression, the intimidation, it must stop. Accountability is key and we have reported and we will continue to report on any event and to make sure that Iraqi authorities use their authority, assert their authority, and to share what happened with the Iraqi people. So it's important, accountability is key. Iraqi people have a right to know, and the United Nations will continue to monitor, continue to report. Unfortunately, we have no executive powers here. I mean, unfortunately, that is very normal that we do not have executive powers, but we cannot act on behalf of the authorities. We can only highlight, monitor, report, and try to emphasize how important accountability is. Are a constant in Iraqi life, not only here in the Kurdistan region, but throughout Iraq. So also here the answer is that the Iraqi state needs to assert its authority. Whatever armed group operating outside state control, internal or external, it cannot and should not be allowed to operate on Iraqi soil, undermining the Iraqi state and even further weakening the Iraqi state. I know it's very easy to say all of it, but it's going to prove crucial also to restore public trust. Also here the answer is that the Iraqi state needs to assert its authority. So any armed group operating outside state control, again, internal or external, including PKK, will look to exploit any security vacuum or gap. Obviously, this cannot be tolerated, and Iraq will need to exercise its sovereignty. And I sincerely hope that we all understand that at the end of the day, there is no military solution to this problem. So dialogue is the only way forward to a sustainable or a long-lasting solution. A dialogue with Turkey, Baghdad, Erbil and the other relevant stakeholders. Well, as goes for many agreements in Iraq, I mean, there is an agreement that is step one, and I think the Sinjar agreement is pretty straightforward and to the point. But at the end of the day, it is not about the agreement as such, but about implementing the agreement with the buy-in from Baghdad, with the buy-in from Erbil, but also with the buy-in and the participation and the commitment of the parties on the ground. And I know the environment is extremely complex, but it takes two to tango. So Baghdad and Erbil will have to step up to the plate. But I also call on certain parties in Sinjar to commit to make this Sinjar agreement work, because at the end of the day, everyday Sinjaris are paying a very high price, and we need to wake up, because if this continues, the price will be even higher. You know what? A strong relationship between Erbil and Baghdad is in the interest of all Kurdistani citizens, is in the interest of all Iraqis. So I cannot emphasize that enough. What we did see and observe in recent years is, in a way, constant crisis management, ad hoc compromises. And this is not going to work. It's not sustainable. So what we asked or discussed with both Baghdad and Erbil is, why don't we come up with a structured, institutionalized dialogue on a regular basis, so not only to discuss budget-related issues, but any outstanding issue, including Article 140. Now, I do know that the Prime Minister, Masroor Barzani, is in favor of it. The federal Prime Minister, Mustafa Al-Kadhimi, also confirmed his commitment to such institutionalized dialogue, and I very much hope that very soon we will have that first kick-off session. Well, what I mean is that in any society, it is very risky to take rights, freedoms, and in this case, autonomy for granted. It was hard earned, and Kurdistani citizens paid a high price. What I'm saying is you have to take care of it. You have to find common ground to unify and to work together in the interest of the Kurdistani citizens. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to have an internal debate. It's very healthy to have internal debate. What is not that healthy is constant party rivalry, intra-party rivalry, and partisanship. So what I'm saying is the interest of the Kurdistani citizens is best served if the Kurdish parties, the Kurdistan region parties, work together and find common ground in the interest of their citizens. Well, of course, I mean, the images coming from Afghanistan are heartbreaking. So I am truly concerned about the Afghanistan future, and in particular of the Afghan everyday citizens, in particular the women and children. What it does show us how important it is to create ownership. If ownership, national ownership, is lacking, then I mean, that's detrimental. But let me stop here. It's heartbreaking, and I have great concerns. You're most welcome. Thank you.